Hey guys, Chris Murphy here. I've got Mr. Bentley Browning with me today, who is a stand-up comedian and comedy teacher. I did this course 3 years ago, and it was a massive change, helped me a lot, become a lot more confident and getting out of my comfort zone more. And he's been running this course for a while in London, and he's a great friend of mine as well. We work together, so I thought it'd be great to interview him. So, how you doing today, Bentley?
Good. Did a gig yesterday.
Yeah?
But, enjoying being at this gentleman's club that you've got going here.
He said gentleman's club, so it's Century Club, Piccadilly, where I've started working now. And he was on the phone saying, I'm in a gentleman's club.
Slightly ruined by the fact that I could see someone in shorts and his hairy legs in front of me. It's not very gentleman's club at all.
He is actually, yeah. But when it's not that sort of place. But he runs this course, and what I want to get through today is that it is a good thing massively to improve your confidence, stand-up comedy. So many people do it and they love it, and everyone's spreading the word around London at the moment, particularly
me.
About you and your course. So why do you think it is that people want to do, like, so many people want to do this comedy course, don't they?
Well, for a start, people are stuck behind computers for 8 hours every day, so a lot of them just want to come and converse and connect with people and sort of like engage and do something that they're not doing all day, which is just basically like, so we get a lot of people who just want to do something fun, something outrageous, something to push their confidence a bit, and a lot of people have got to do talks and presentations at businesses and in their companies, and they're fearful about it, and they think, I need to do practice, and they're seeing comedy every day on TV, every week, all these shows, and it's become a thing. Comedy's become like a sort of a thing you do as a hobby now, like a bit like karaoke, which is brilliant for me. It's like amazing, because that was part of my mission, that comedy is great, everyone should do it. It doesn't matter if you don't want to be a comedian on television, just do it for confidence. Helps the way you look at life. You start, because people are all got this defensive persona.
Yeah.
We're all like hidden behind this facade of what we should be. And comedy is about being a loser, about your insecurities, your foibles, your fallibilities, all that, and they become your fuel and power on a comedy thing. And so people are just like, this is releasing. This is sort of like cathartic. I love doing this. So that's what happened to you, didn't it?
Yeah,
So,
I think when I did it, and the first few lines straight away, don't you? You normally get people to say a celebrity they look like. We stuck for a while on me, weren't we? And we said the Andy Murray thing, which is still about, most people don't think I look like him, but it was the closest I can get.
Anorexic Andy Murray or something like that, isn't it? Yeah.
The thing is, every time Bentley says something, even if he just repeats my jokes back to me in a different tone of voice, I just find it funny. So there's all this different stuff with comedy, and you teach a lot of techniques, don't you? So what is like the rule of three, for example?
Rule of three, right? You introduce the subject, you reinforce it, and then you subvert it. So you say he's rich, he's good looking, he's stupid, and you can use it for anything. Just like, the business is really good. We're in Shanghai, Tokyo, and Slough. So introduce, reinforce, subvert.
Yeah, so it's basically comedy in a way. It's the element of surprise, isn't it?
Surprise is massive, yeah.
And what we do, though, and particularly everyone who's watching this, most people will say, I can't do stand-up comedy because I'm not funny. But what I've seen with you, and which is so amazing, it's like Bentley's a miracle worker, because he can make anyone funny. Some guys I've sent to you, and it was just like they just weren't funny at all. But I think you find their sense of humour as well. Some people are dry, aren't they? Some people...
Well, it's funny. You can make unfunny people say funny things. You do not have to be creative, because about 3 or 4 big techniques don't involve any creativity at all. For example, one is just speaking your mind, and that's something that we're not doing every day. But you can tell an unfunny person who hasn't got funny bones how to say funny things, so they become funny. But they still might never have funny bones, but they can still make people laugh. We did that with you, didn't we?
Yeah.
You were funny.
I think because we get on quite well, because I guess it's the northern thing, isn't it?
Yeah, you're kind of born
got,
funny.
The Peter Kay kind of.
Yeah.
And we straight away fell for that. But it was once, wasn't it? And this is when I went crazy, didn't I? I just started experimenting. And I met up with one of my mates who I think finds someone who is quite creative, and because some people I think like with all
Spark off
duos,
some people,
yeah.
yes,
So
yeah,
everyone's
yeah,
a duo.
yeah.
No one's like just naturally writes everything down. You've always got. So for me, is I had a friend who would twist everything, and he would say this and twist this, and he said just start doing the. I started doing a yoga position, didn't I, in the middle of my comedy scene.
Oh, that was good, yeah.
And he said it was a bit like a Basil Fawlty, John Cleese
Yeah, that
kind
was
of
good.
gangly
So you're like
legs.
me, you've got the height.
Yeah.
And if you do something with your body that's sort of incongruous with your height or your weight or something, it's funny. So yeah, physical humour, really good. Really good. I remember it worked for you. But I'm sorry I made you go on stage with a tennis racket. But anyway.
And I said sorry about
You've
this
gotta try
racket,
these
and
things.
yeah, some of the jokes didn't go down well, but some went. That's the thing is sometimes jokes go. You don't know until
Yeah.
you say it. I think what you think, and I think as well, anything that happens in your everyday life, something funny might happen, and you try and tell someone and they don't find it funny. But there's a way of making anything funny, really, isn't there?
Well, yeah, if you can sort
But it's
of
got to
like,
be told in a certain way.
yeah, a lot of people have got. I mean, truth is one of the biggest things in comedy. So everyone's had funny, truthful things happen to them, and so anyone can tell a truthful story, but maybe put the surprise at the end or put the embarrassing bit at the end. Just structure it, edit it, exaggerate it, lie, and you can jazz up a story for comedy. They all do that. A lot of the comedians have got truthful stories which they twist with a untruth.
No, definitely.
It's comedy, you see, so there's a different context. It's like that thing about your inner voice, just saying what you feel, saying what you're thinking. On a stage, that works, but if you were to say to your friend, you look like you've put on weight recently, they'll get affronted. But you can say that on a stage and people will laugh.
So a lot of comedians sometimes just generally aren't really that funny, are they? Because it's more in a person, I mean, or do you think they are, or do you think it's like an art, or to be able to...
Well, as I said, you can learn techniques, and Bob Monkhouse, famous comedian, said he was not, well, he was renowned as not being a funny man, naturally, but he knew how to say funny things. He'd studied all the joke structures, and he knew how to construct a joke, which is a lifelong thing. I'm still learning how to do that, because you want to get funnier and funnier. It's like funnier is never enough. You want to be funnier.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes you even find like, you take people on who even you do a gig with them and they get more of a laugh, and you're kind of not too bothered about that, because you kind of like, because everyone's different, aren't they, and you kind of want everyone to do well. And it's just finding...
I tell you what does happen a lot is that some people on the course, you might get one or two who are really weak on the course, but then they get on stage on the evening, on the show, and they're fantastic. It's something about their energy that the audience pick up on and go, oh, this guy's not confident, but he's having a go. Oh, and he's being funny, and you get more of a laugh almost. There's something weird that happens.
So yeah, I guess as well, for mainly this channel, and I guess a lot of my market, and now a lot more women involved as well, who a big reason why they want to do it is because they want to be more attractive to their partner, or they want to increase their chances of attracting a partner. Because we did a talk, didn't we? We've done a talk a few times, how to attract a partner, which seemed a bit cheesy, but we just have a lot of single people in the room, and you come at it more from a comedy angle.
Comedy and confidence, yeah.
And then I focus more on the confidence side. And so why do you think it's so important in terms of I mean, particularly one, like whenever I've asked a girl on a date and said, what's the most attractive quality in a guy, they'll always say sense of humour. And I guess when a guy's sort of talking about what he wants in a woman as well, he'll say like, yeah, she's got to, I think, have a sense of humour in a way.
If you can make someone laugh, that is a physical, unconscious, reflexive action. So you're sitting there with someone, and for example, you're sitting there with a girl, and then you get her going like that, which is a laugh, I'm exaggerating a bit, but they're losing control of their body. That is an immense power. And it's a subconscious thing. This is why people always sometimes laugh at things that morally they normally wouldn't. It's like Jimmy Carr says, he likes the laughing when people go like, ha ha, oh, I shouldn't laugh at that. But it's too late, they've already laughed. But anyway, no, I think making someone laugh a partner is because people are attractive when they laugh. You feel good when you've made someone laugh. People like smiles. Humour in relationships can like bond, seal, and make the thing more exciting, attractive. And you don't have to look like any film star, Brad Pitt or whatever. I think if you're making someone laugh, there's a deep bond there spiritually. I think.
Okay. And I've always found the best icebreakers or the best way to start a conversation is by saying something funny, really, isn't it? It's better than being the
You say I look like the anorexic Andy Murray. What do you think?
Yeah, just coming up with stuff like that, and it's trialing new things as well, isn't it? It's like I think it's that spontaneity, but don't you become more spontaneous and more creative once you start practicing as well?
Definitely. And one massive thing, Chris, is looking at life in a light way, because also it's the same in relationships and in your office or whatever. If you're a worried person, always trying to look good and a bit nervous about life, a bit negative, people detect that energy straight away. But if you do humour, you sort of turn it on its head and you start thinking, I'll make fun of that. Okay, yeah, I failed my driving test. Let's have a laugh at that. And you turn all this sort of like painful negative stuff to positive. And you start looking at the world in a lighter way. So hence your energy changes, and hence people are more attracted to it. Like, oh, he's not bothered. She's not bothered about life. Oh, I want to be with her. I want to be around them. That's the way I think it works.
Yeah, definitely. And what you've done in a way is you've built a community, and people are...
Inadvertently, yeah. It's just been a great thing. I left my job to do a comedy course that I set up as an experiment. It worked very well, so I just left my job, which was teaching English as a foreign language, and I've never looked back. So it's like, oh, thank you, God, I've got my calling in life, comedy. And yes, you're right, a community is formed. It's got a good reputation professionally, and sort of, like people who are just, more into holistic sort of getting more positive about life.
And then what I like about yours, and I guess what was drawn to and why I wanted to do the course as well, is it was never a quick fix thing, was it? It was like a 6-week course, and then you do a gig. So most things you see now, it's like learn how to be funny in a day, or everything's fast. It's like a day where we do this, and your life changes forever. But you're a bit more like, look, 6 weeks, go away, practice. You got homework, and then you do a showcase gig at the end. I mean, I still think it's amazing value for money. And I know so many people who've done it now. It's crazy. I mean,
well, you did the course, didn't you? And then you went off and formed your own confidence groups and dating, etc.
I guess it did happen before I started the business up and coaching people. Yeah, so it was.
So your confidence changed doing it.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I've obviously told you loads of other things I've done as well, but I think this was a massive turning point. And like I said, I did a bungee jump.
Yeah, I don't know how you do that.
But I said the three nervous points of my life are like, going up to people in the street and speaking to them, doing this comedy course, and probably doing that bungee jump. I think just each individual moments with certain, maybe it was a particular, woman I went over and spoke to, or it was, I think the nervous point on the comedy course was doing the first gig. And you've got all your mates there. And even though the good thing with Bentley's one is you practice it, you keep telling it in front of people, you keep changing the jokes, everyone laughs, and you do it in a way where it's guaranteed you get a laugh. It's not this horrible first gig. And but still, before you do it, there's still the fear there, isn't there? And you think, what if no one laughs? What if it goes wrong? The joke might not be funny enough.
Yeah, I think that on that showcase gig, you learn just as much in that 5-minute performance as you do for the rest of the course. Because there's nothing like it that, when you see people coming in you don't know, and they're coming into the gig, and suddenly it kicks in, they're backstage going, oh my gosh, there's people I don't know here. And that's when you start learning how to deal with the nerves and calm yourself and concentrate on your script. But the feeling, as you know, when you come off stage is unbelievable. I've had people just say, like, oh, it was amazing, oh, like being in a car crash or something, a good car crash, and then just go like, oh, I want to do it again, a little bit addictive, got to say.
Yeah, people straight away when they do a first one, they want to do another one. Like, as soon as I did my first one, I was like, I want to do another one, and I did 5. But they're also the bad ones as well, and I think maybe you get a bit cocky, and you're always going to have bad gigs, aren't you?
God, I did one last night, all new material.
It's experimenting, isn't it? I've even told you a couple of jokes, which I probably won't be here, but they were a bit borderline, weren't they? And I think they don't, in a way, sometimes they don't suit your personality. I think people sometimes, with people like Frankie Boyle and these guys who've pushed things a bit too far, maybe even like Ricky Gervais and stuff when he's done his live stuff, but they can sort of get away with it, whereas some people can't.
Anything can affect a gig. I was just going to say, last night's gig, only comedians and about 2 or 3 audience were in there, and they're all on sofas like this, so they're all just going like that, And I've heard, just like, no one laughs if you're in a deep state of relaxation like that. So it'd be better if they're all in wooden chairs. But you get used to that silence of just like being judged by comedians on certain gigs, but it strengthens your resolve. You get used to, having to sort of find your way out of an awkward situation.
No, definitely. So overall, I guess with the comedy course, like why have you, why is there a 6-week structure and maybe to give, I guess, the guys and people who aren't familiar with your course, I mean, why is it set the way it is, and why does everyone's first gig always seem to go pretty well? Because I've been a couple of them, and I've seen some of my ex-clients do it as well, and all my clients or people I've just put onto you, and I thought, how did you make these funny? How and you sometimes think, even sometimes people who don't, some people probably don't do the homework as much and they just show up, but they still do pretty well, don't they?
Well, you can't have a course that's too long, because in London everyone's got commitments and everything, so you can't have it too short, and you want it sort of attractive enough to, like you say, you can't just learn it in 5 minutes, but about 6 weeks seems to be about right. The one-art course I did was 7 weeks and then a gig, but we do 6. That's about the length average if you can learn to get a good basic grasp of just how to go on stage for 5 minutes. And it seems to work. So it's all structured so that everyone follows the same thing. Because I'm doing a beginner's course, intermediate, and a Saturday course at the moment. But it seems to be about the right length where people don't wane. But you could do a year-long course. It's a never-ending thing, comedy.
Yeah, because you have follow-ups, don't you? The intermediate one. And you recommend people try and do another gig as well.
Definitely. So we always get them a showcase gig at the Washington, then we move them on to the TNT Club, which is in Kentish Town, which is always a fantastic night every Tuesday. So at least when people come on mine, they can do 2 gigs, and then they've got the confidence to go off and just do open mic gigs. Because when you're starting, you can tweak and hone your first 5 minutes and just get it better and better. You don't have to keep doing different sort of sets all the time. There are professional comedians doing the same 20-minute gig for 3-4 years because it's that good, and they can just go to different clubs and do it.
No, definitely. So should everyone do a comedy course?
I've had quite a few people come off my course.
Would there be someone who turn up on your course and you'd be like, oh my god, not this guy? Or would you work with anyone really, wouldn't you?
Yeah, because sometimes people come on, they're quite eccentric and everything, but they get sort of like, it's a group thing, a comedy course. Everybody helps each other, and you've got a responsibility and a sort of integrity to be with a whole load of people. So nobody wants just someone who's just off their head and just being extravagant or eccentric, etc. You leave that for the stage. That's the whole point. You can do that in your act, just be as mad as you want. But if people just get on with each other, it just works fine. I've not had anybody that just sort of caused a load of aggro. But I do have people leaving because they didn't realise they had to do a homework each week, or work gets in the way, or a few people have left because they're like, didn't realise it was quite a serious thing they have to apply themselves to, and a couple of people have left because they didn't want to do the gig. But on my course, you don't have to do the gig.
Yeah. But most people do it though, don't they?
Most people do it, yeah. Because that's like part of the fun, isn't it? We're all in it together. We're all it's like going to war. We're all going over the edge,
And you're all behind, aren't you? I mean, so maybe if you give a couple of examples of the warm-up exercises you would do, maybe.
Cool, warm-up exercises.
I mean, what's the one where you read the alphabet out?
Oh yeah, so it's just we get them used to doing silly voices, for example, just so they can tell their brain not to use their normal voice.
Yeah.
In a comedy routine, it's good if someone goes into a voice or a sound or everything. So we have the alphabet song. It's not actually a song. It can be sometimes, but then they have to just go like, A is for apple and a cherry and an egg. E is for ripe and brown. C is for carpet and clear. And everyone does their stupid voice.
Yeah.
And it just loosens you up, it warms you up, so the brain just goes, I don't have to just speak in my normal voice all the time.
And it's not always about being funny. I think it's those exercises where you go around the room and it's like, one person will just say something really funny, and then people will sort of continue it on.
Yeah. So do storytelling as well.
Storytelling,
Yes, like it's a rule of improvisation, is it? Just say yes and. So I'll say, look, we're going up swimming in our full clothes today, and you go yes and. Then we're going to have a tea cake, blah blah blah.
And then you just follow it on. I mean, sometimes I've done that exercise, and people look at me to say like, well, that person just gave me a load of rubbish, and I'm like, well, you've got to work with it. You've got to work with what you're thrown with. So it's like you go up and you speak to someone, and they say you just improvise, and that's kind of how you have a conversation, really, isn't it? It's like it's improvised. And you try and make something funny out of everything in a way.
I'm glad you said that, because a lot of people come on and say, oh, I don't know how to be funny, and you say, right, okay, what are you like with your mum and dad, your kid, your friends, your family? Oh, I'm relaxed, I'm having a laugh. Right, that is what we want. That is what we want. That's what you've got to try and get on stage, that. And it's a process. It doesn't happen like that. But when they get a glimpse of, oh, this is a bit like how I am, the audience go like, oh, that's good.
Just get your parents and your family in the crowd.
Which they often are, actually. I don't know how some parents are not freaked out when some of the comedians do their stuff.
Depends if they're the bottom of all the jokes as well.
Bottom of the jokes and the obscenity sometimes. Not me, of course.
Definitely. So what's your sort of story on this, and how you got involved, and why you're so passionate and you love comedy?
Well, I used to teach English as a foreign language. I'd done a bit of acting, but I still had a fear of public speaking completely. I was terrified. I didn't go to groups and everything. I didn't like it, but there was just a little voice in me that thought I wanted to speak out. And I don't know. I saw a certain comedian on. I'll tell you, it was Russell Brand, 2008, and I saw him doing Ponderland, and I was just like, oh, right. So that's what I'll be doing. Joined a comedy course 2009, and then just got did a load of gigs, and then eventually thought I know enough to get people started. And then, but I got on my course. They said, "Oh, you'll get loads of opportunities if you do stand-up." And lo and behold, they were true, because not only did I want to carry on and apply for things, anything where I could use comedy or speaking just to carry on the momentum having done the course, but a lot of people, things came to me, said, "Oh, right, you can speak at the wedding. Oh, yeah, I've got this here. Oh, you can speak at that." So, because stand-up is seen as like the sort of ultimate in public speaking. So I always say, if you've done stand-up comedy, get it on your CV, because people will just go, "Oh God, that's impressive." So that's what happened to me, and I ended up doing this. There was a vicar in my course once, and he said, you should do this for the vicars. So I ended up doing it for the vicars, and that got BBC, the One Show, Russell Howard. It got tons of exposure, all for nothing, no money. And ironically, it was using a comedy technique, which is incongruity, which you study on the course. And then, I became a David Cameron lookalike. So...
yeah, of course, you've probably been scratching your head, so everyone's watching.
That was weird, but lots of work came off that. But they did say on the course, just on this point, they said that you'll get lots of opportunities that you never predicted, because your life responds to you in a comedic way if you do comedy, and it sure did with me.
Because what did he say in the newspaper? Just that article said the world's worst David Cameron lookalike, and you were kind of like, well, I didn't even want to do it anyway.
Moonlights as Nick Clegg by changing his tie.
You just changed. It didn't sort of say like anyone will do anything for a bit of money, but you kind of just.
But you become lighter. You apply for things because it's like, oh, it's comedy. So you apply for things that you never normally would have done. No, I did all sorts of stuff. And you tell all your
friends, and like, whoa, you've done stand-up comedy, and it's a massitive talking point. Everyone wants to see it, and it's.
Because who doesn't want to laugh? Who doesn't want to sort of be made laugh? Apparently there's only one person in the history of the universe who didn't have a sense of humour, Margaret Thatcher.
Just the one. So you said about public speaking and stand-up comedy, so they are very similar, but would you say stand-up comedy is probably a bit more difficult because there's the pressure of making someone laugh, and also where best man speeches come into it as well, because that's.
Well, you've just done one of those, haven't you?
And there were certain jokes that didn't go down well, and it brought back memories of trying to. But it's very difficult because you want to make people laugh.
Well, you're doing it in Spain for a start.
Yeah, no one speaks English,
so
that's a joke in its own, though, isn't it? When you tell people.
That really is, yeah. What was the question?
I don't know. I go off on tangents sometimes, but the public speaking and stand-up comedy, which. They are very similar, aren't they? But would you say that stand-up comedy is more difficult because there's the pressure of trying to make someone laugh?
Definitely. That's why you've got to study some techniques. You can't just go on the stage and make people laugh. and most people can't. So it's best to know how to make people laugh, or what so if you're sort of studying comedy, it's best to sort of like retrain your mind and think about the techniques when you're on a bus or you're walking along, and just think, when everybody starts laughing at something, go, right, why are they laughing? Why are they laughing? And just write that down.
Yeah.
Just study why, as opposed to how to make people laugh. But I mean, everybody's funny to a certain extent, aren't they? And it's about finding that inside and bringing it out.
Yeah, everyone was once said something funny that
Everyone
made someone
has
laugh.
yeah, it's apart from Margaret Thatcher. Who said one
Yeah,
thing funny.
who never said anything funny.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll have a look just to see. I might be able to find some footage. But yeah, some people are quite serious, but you can, like, I think overall with me and what I'm doing now is, I mean, even with this interview, me and Bentley, probably when the camera turns off, we just be joking around and having a laugh. But we want this to be a bit more serious, because we're trying to help people become more confident and improve their lives, essentially. But I guess summing up, if they did a 6-week comedy course, or if they learned stand-up comedy, if they learned some techniques, if they put them into practice, if they really look to become a funny, more charismatic person, would that change their life, and would that make them a lot happier, and would that make them more confident?
Well, I think so, yeah, because I've seen it happen for about 4 years as I've been doing the course. I've seen it happen a lot. Not everyone goes on to do loads of gigs, but the testimonials I've had do sort of allude to that, you know, just like, this has just been very good for me as a person. So that's why I'm going to continue doing it, because the effects I see on people, that's just so rewarding. I mean, so many times at the showcase gig, I'm just almost welling up with tears to see them. The look on their, it's the look, not only the look on the performers' faces of like, oh my God, I've just entertained 60, 50 people, but also the friends, it's like the shock on their face, like they've never seen their friend like that ever. Yeah. So miraculous
and their friends probably find them the funniest, don't they? As well, you would laugh at anyone you knew on stage, just like telling jokes, just because it's your mate.
Yeah, there's that.
So it's trying to make other people laugh.
For your first gig, the punchline is you are doing comedy, and that's enough for people. But then you just hone it. The first gig is just about getting used to being on stage.
And the first gig is very warm, welcoming crowd. Yeah. It's more like you've got a big sign at the back saying like everyone laugh. And
we haven't got a sign saying that, but it is metaphorically.
There's some laughing gas going on. There's something in the audience.
Creating
there's that atmosphere, isn't it? Where you're not going to be like, "Yo, shit, get off." You know,
no one heckles. Heckling is really quite a lot of a myth at the sort of open mic sort of showcase level.
Do you think that's the way sort of times have moved on as well? Do you think people?
Well, you know, I mean, it does happen, but at some gigs, but I've not seen a great deal. And heckling is sometimes perceived as being a negative thing, but it's not. It's people helping the show along, answering your rhetorical questions, and just having a laugh, you know.
But everyone, in a way, wants you to get through, you know, wants you to beat the heckler. No one likes a heckler, do they? Everyone likes the comedian, in a way. They want you to do good. They don't want this, but the hecklers probably want you to be bad, and the second you slip up. But I think it's, if anything, the advice on a stand-up comedy gig is make sure you start strong and you've got a funny opener.
Yeah, something strong at the start.
And you feel. I remember as soon as I got my first joke out and people laughed, I was like, I was just so much more comfortable, and then I was free and I was relaxed. But it's until you get that first laugh, you're just like.
Well, I sit down with the comic and just a student, whatever you want to call them, and just work through the script as well, and just say, well, let's have a look at that, just tweak that a bit, you know, and maybe not have that. And so it ends up being a nice 5-minute routine. Well, it's 4.5 now, because everything seems to expand on stage.
Yeah, you try and keep it short.
With the laughter, yeah.
Cool. All right. I guess to summarise, how can they find you if they're in London or if they're outside of London? You know, what should they look for?
Well, we've got courses starting about every 7-8 weeks. I do free taster courses, loads of the courses, most of them at the YMCA in central London. And just go to comedynovices.com and you can get all the information there. And if you go on YouTube, you can go on Comedy Novices and see all these gigs that they've done. My Twitter's Bentley Browning, and Facebook is Comedy Novices. It's Comedy Novices, basically.
Yeah, Comedy for Novices. Yeah, and I can highly recommend just go to the taster. And I think everyone who goes to Taster normally signs up for the course because I think you just love to laugh. And if you go for 2 hours session in London, just try comedy, try some routine, stand up in front of a group of people and try and make people laugh. And if it works, you'll want to do it. And it's not like pressure straight away, is it? We're in a big group of like 10, 20 people, and you're going around the circle and you're chipping stuff in, and it's quite a warming, welcoming, and you go for drinks and stuff afterwards as well, isn't it?
It's entry level as well. It's not like you have to come along to taste and do all these difficult things. It's just very step by step, introduce you to how comedy works.
And you don't need to know any jokes.
No,
as well. I've never known any jokes. When people say "Tay a joke," I'm kind of like,
you just need yourself.
Yeah, just turn up. All right, guys. Well, check out Bentley's stuff, and I will bring you a lot more interviews coming soon for some interesting people like Bentley who helped me and helped a lot of people I know become a lot more confident by doing what he's doing, and it really does work. And I don't think anyone I've known has ever done his course and said that they either didn't enjoy it or they didn't feel a lot more confident, and that it was a great experience because of it. So check out the stuff, and we'll speak to you soon.